One of the most stressful parts of a real estate transaction for both the buyer and the seller are the inspections. In this week's video, I'm going to go over all the ins and outs and what you as a buyer or a seller need to know in dealing with inspections during a real estate transaction. The first thing that comes into play with dealing with an inspection timeline is the effective date of the contract. So it's very important that you know exactly what that effective date is. So for an example, today is September 28th, 2019. I'm recording this video. Say an offer was presented and it went back and forth between the buyer and seller in negotiations, and everything was agreed upon, say on Tuesday, October 1st. That is when the contract is signed, initialed, all the changes were made, and it is a ratified contract. October 1st would actually be the effective date, even though the contract was originally presented on September 28th. Now that we understand the effective date, let's take a look at the repair procedure part of the contract.
Repair procedure is Section 8 of our standard South Carolina contract. Some key points are: letter A, all repair procedure inspections shall be completed no later than blank business days after the contract's original primary effective date. In this example, we're using 10 business days. So barring a national holiday, 10 business days would be the same as 2 weeks. And we want to remember that this starts not from the date that the contract was presented, but by the effective date where everyone has agreed and signed off on the contract. So in the next highlighted section, I'm going to break this in two for you. The first part says, seller shall be delivered notice in writing of the specific defects or deficiencies. Now, in writing should be on a specific repair addendum that clearly states what the buyer is requesting to have either repaired or replaced. And then along with that, what should be delivered to the seller is a copy of the actual inspection so that they can clearly see what the inspector is deeming a defect or a deficiency. Now in the second part, no later than 2 business days after the repair procedure inspection date mentioned above, that is clearly the date. So whatever those 10 business days, whatever that date, it's 2 business days after the end of that whole inspection window. I've seen this confused in that either a buyer or seller or another agent will think it's 2 days after the actual inspection was completed. But if the inspector gets in there after 2 or 3 days, the buyer still has that full window to deliver the notice in writing of the repair requests. Moving on to letter B in the repair procedure section of the contract, it states no later than, actually let's use 3 business days as our example. So no later than 3 business days after the date of delivered notice of the repair request, seller shall deliver notice agreeing or not agreeing to make the repairs. So there might be some negotiation back and forth at this point, but if the seller does agree to the repair request and sign off on the addendum, great, we'll keep moving forward. But if they do not reply in those 3 days, or they do not agree to make any repairs, then the buyer has 2 business days, and that comes after these 3 business days, to choose one of the following options: accept the property in its present condition, negotiate a new amended contract with the seller for the payment of these repairs, or terminate this contract by delivered notice. There again, that would be in writing. And then it's in bold and caps here: if buyer fails to accept and renegotiate a new amended contract with the seller or terminate contract by delivered notice within 2 business days, the buyer is agreeing to continue with the contract and purchase the property in an as-is condition.
In closing, we have gone over the repair procedure section of the contract, which is usually the biggest hurdle for the buyer and seller to get over. But once you're over that, it's usually clear sailing to the closing table. I'm Mark Gouhin with RE/MAX Southern Shores, always happy to help with all of your real estate needs, all up and down the South Carolina coast. And you can reach me at 843-685-9326. I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.